Stories of Futures Past presents 5 short stories featuring Weird Christmas. Written and narrated by Tom Trussel. Red-handed. Yeah, and I'm the Easter Bunny. Cut the crap. Tell me your real name. Fleeing the scene, resisting arrest. You're a piece of work, aren't you? Multiple counts of illegal entry all across town. Petty larceny. Caught red-handed with a large sack of stolen goods. So many it becomes grand theft. Stealing presents from under the trees on Christmas Eve, you scumbag. 9 counts of wildlife trafficking. That poor one harnessed at the front of your unlicensed vehicle has a bruised nose. Animal abuse. Speeding. Reckless endangerment. No ID. Illegal immigrant. So, you have the right to remain silent. The end. Cruel and unusual. God damn it, he's been at the beer again. The furious bellow echoed across the courtyard. Its origin was a large, red-faced man with a great white beard. He was dressed all in crimson, with white fur trim, and wearing shiny black boots. He stomped out of the pantry house, making a beeline across the snow towards the stables. As the man closed in, a bird call pierced the silent polar night. This was followed by much scuffling, a loud crash, and the tinkle of breaking glass from within the stables. Aha! Caught red-handed! The scene before him was like a snapshot, frozen in time, as several reindeer were grouped around an overturned table, staring at him in abject terror. Playing cards drifted through the air like lazy snowflakes, competing with swirling spots of light reflected by the many broken beer bottles in the growing pool of foam on the floor. The smallest of the reindeer lay sprawled on top, wearing a dealer's visor and a sheepish grin, unsuccessfully concealing the evidence with his body. The man's face was thunder. That does it. I've had enough of your delinquency. You're a bad influence. Time to teach you a lesson you won't forget. This is what happens to thieving reindeer. The man grabbed the beer-soaked reindeer by the antlers and dragged him bodily over the courtyard back to the pantry house, ignoring his pleas of mercy. You wanted beer? Well, there it is. Now, drink it. The man pointed a meaty finger at several stacked crates near to the wheels of cheese. You're not getting out of here until you have drunk it all. For the next few days, sounds of determined chugging could be heard between bouts of belching as an ominous crimson glow appeared around the doorframe of the pantry house. At last, all the beer was gone. Out staggered the reindeer, with arms raised in cocky triumph and a self-satisfied grin. He promptly threw up before passing out. When he came to, they showed him a mirror, and his smugness evaporated in the reflected blood-red glow of his swollen drunkard's nose. The end. The Bounty. Another sub has gone missing at the pole, sir. Admiral Olenov acknowledged the message with a curt nod. Ever since the top brass had decided to plant the flag in the North Pole seabed to stake a claim on the natural resources in the region, there had been problems. Half the missions sent to the area had vanished. In the long polar night, their aircraft and satellites were useless. Damn magnetics were haywire up there. Strange interferences over the pole made them effectively blind. Nothing showed up on any scans. Other subs sent to search and rescue found nothing. And now another one had gone missing. Without a trace, no doubt, just like the others. It was getting more difficult each time to keep the disappearances secret. The records kept getting harder to doctor. Hundreds of sailors. Their relatives were asking questions. Worse, the top brass were asking questions. The nuclear submarine pierced the polar ice sheet, its tower emerging with a loud crack like a giant black axe head chopping upwards from the deep. Sensing the breakthrough, its snorkel hissed, inhaling fresh air. Antennae extending, its scope peered outwards. Momentarily blinded by snow crammed into the lens, it did not notice the many approaching drifts of snow moving against the wind in the clear, starlit sky of the polar night. "We thank thee, Father Christmas, for the gifts you have provided your servants," Treacle-Nose the elf muttered under his breath as he tied the knockout gas canister in place over the submarine's intake snorkel with lengths of coloured ribbon. His squad of white camouflaged breachers were in position and ready to go at his signal. The herd of snowmen they had brought along were mindlessly piling into the cracks in the ice around the tower, freezing it into place. The reindeer were still on their way, laden down with the heavy equipment needed to break down the steel whale. With this catch, they would have enough both of raw materials for the toy factory and meat for the table to last all through next season. Truly a bounty from the Lord. The end. A win-win situation. The white-bearded man looked out of his element, wringing his hands while sitting by himself at one side of an impressively large table in an opulent meeting room. Across the table sat a delegation of sharp-suited men, all wearing warm smiles under neatly cut straight black hair. A lengthy ritual of serving and drinking tea was done, as the man continued. "The elves are really good at making the old-fashioned toys, you know, like dolls, teddy bears, building blocks, even board games. But kids today only want gyro-stabilized monowheels, AirPods and video games, stuff like that. These are things we can't make ourselves," the man said with resignation. "Now, I appreciate your business invitation, but we don't really use money up north. However, we do need large amounts of the kind of toys you make here each year. What can we do? I'm at my wits' end." Their interpreter finished her translation of his words, and 3 of their representatives conferred at length. The man could not understand a word they said. This was a part of the world he had rarely visited. They hadn't really started celebrating his holiday here until recently, and even then the wish lists that reached him were gibberish to him. Their writing looked like little boxes with lines in them, and he could not make heads nor tails of it. He supposed he would have to try to learn to read it, and made a mental note to get some language courses to bring back north. His musings were interrupted as the interpreter addressed him again. "We certainly have the production capacity. It is an honor to help. We do not worry about payment. In return, all we ask is that you help us with some deliveries now and then. Sometimes we also have gifts to be delivered all over the world. You just bring them along on your rounds each year and leave them in the houses we specify. A win-win situation." Their warm smiles did not reach their cold eyes. "To show our commitment, the agreement will be signed by the party chairman himself." The end. Last Christmas. "Bogey, tracking from due north." Multiple screens in the underground control room lit up, flashes and klaxons going off all around, competing with the multicolored lighting on the Christmas trees put up around the room. "Someone shut that noise up. I can't hear myself thinking here." General Hawkins stared at the screen, blood draining from his already pale face with a dawning realization of what he was looking at. The siren's wailing cut off, but the screens continued to scream their silent warnings into the dark of the control room. "They actually did it," Hawkins muttered to himself more than to those around him. "Those damn commies actually did it! Trying to sucker punch us by coming over the North Pole. We are on to you, Ivan." Then to the room. "Lieutenant, confirm tracking. What is the heading?" "Tracking confirmed, sir. Trajectory suggests the target is somewhere along the eastern seaboard, likely Washington, D.C. Less than 6 minutes to impact and counting." "That would cause millions of casualties. Millions!" Hawkins snapped out of it. "Set DEFCON 1. Sergeant, fetch the suitcase. Yes, that one. And get the President on the horn already. The rest of you, we have trained for this. The fate of our great nation depends on us. Prepare the counterattack. All missiles. They think our defenses are down on Christmas Eve. We'll teach those godless bastards a thing or two." As intercontinental megadeath rose in flames and fury out of hidden missile bunkers all over the country, a lone red streak blazed across the northern sky, the faint sound of sleigh bells and ho-ho-hos trailing its passage. The end. The end. Subscribe for your daily stories of futures past. Science fiction and fantasy and horror, oh my!